Hello and welcome to my world and a post-game wrap-up review, if you will, from a game we finished back on June 3rd, 2023. As a matter of fact, this is being recorded several hours after we finished said game. Of course, I'm talking about Kena Bridge of Spirits. And this review commentary is coming from a casual gamer's point of view. And I should at some point explain why I play everything from a casual perspective at some point. But anyway, Kena Bridge of Spirits was a game that came highly recommended by Level Striker as we played the PlayStation 4 version. We played it over the course of several Fridays. All the streams of our playthrough can be found here on the YouTube channel in their original uncut glory or infamy, whichever the case may be. So if you want to go back and see how I handle certain things from a casual, reduced difficulty point of view, there you go. And again, from a casual gamer's standpoint, this game had its charm. Very easy controls to pick up and master along the way. You are not thrown into any situation where you are not equipped to handle everything. It's like each section of the game, make sure that you have the right skills. You are taught how to use the rot early on and how they interact with the environment. You gradually get the bow. You get the spirit bomb, for lack of a better term. And also towards the very end of the game, you get the dash, and all of these abilities are given to you, and they correspond to the area that you're primarily focused in. The puzzles are really logic based. You do not need a walkthrough to solve the puzzles in order to progress from point A to point B. Some things require more trial and error in terms of timed platforms, where you may have a limited amount of time from getting from one place to another, but once you see what needs to be done, it's very, very straightforward. It was something I greatly appreciate in a game like this, because I typically don't play puzzle platformers. It's not a genre that you see often on my Twitch channel. If at all. I think the last one that was probably similar to this was maybe Mario Odyssey, but that was back in 2020. I don't think I've done any puzzle platformers since then. And I say that's a puzzle platformer because, in Mario Odyssey, there is a few puzzles, and one thing I actually had to really look up the solution to figure it out in that one, but that's, again, a few years ago. We're talking about Kena Bridge of Spirits. The visual presentation, the music definitely has a wonderful charm to it. You get sucked into the world. You have everything looks gorgeous. The sound is incredible. The enemies have a nice variety, particularly when you get to the mini bosses and the actual big bosses throughout the course of the adventure. The story kind of is unique because we don't really learn about Kena and her motivations until the very end, and that she is why she is on her journey. But we end up learning about like the three main antagonists, and they're not really antagonists. These are the spirits who have immense guilt related to either failing to protect their siblings, wanting to see their beloved once again, and failure to see the situation as is, as to what was going on and why the village was suffering the famine of the land, which is actually the motivation on the final antagonist, the village leader Toshi, and why he did what he did, that basically wiped out his own village because his own ego And they say fear, but it's really down to his own ego, in my point of view, not wanting to let the village fall. Um, but it is what it is there. I did run into a few instances of a few weird um, glitches, for lack of a better term, where you would, well, I would be trying to walk along a path and basically be greeted with an invisible wall. Um, it doesn't happen too often, but it happened often enough to where it's like it got a little bit annoying. But I'm either was loading in the next area or I was progressing things in a weird way. Sometimes I felt like I needed to walk back several steps to just apparently approach a path at a very specific angle. The same thing kind of applies to a few of the boxes and things in the environment that you can interact with. You can't really get too close. You need to move back and be at the right angle or the right distance to have certain things trigger to where you can get the interaction buttons for either triangle, which is your standard interaction, or square for sending out the rot to do various things. And the rot in and of itself, these cute little critters are possibly my favorite thing about the game. It's like there was always a joy of finding these little dudes, and it's like you can find them in the environment, or some are hidden through puzzles. Some you can't get until you have like certain abilities unlocked. And so, but when you find them and you got these little faces and stuff, like we found one in a pumpkin, we found another under like a log, we found another buried underneath a rock. So, and they always have like these. Some of them have like unique animations, and when you have the other ones that they are interacting with an object, such as lifting one up, you actually see the ones that you already have lifting and holding up something as to help free the one that you have found along the journey. So it's certainly a joy there. We ended up finding like about 74 out of the 100. From a completely casual point of view, and so that's where the real challenge would be, is to going back and finding all the remaining rot, as well as the hats. They get little hats. They get a little cat hat, a pumpkin hat, little mask of the antagonist that you're seeing throughout the game. There's a pancake hat. So that's, if you're into collectibles and cute little critters and just want to make sure everyone has a hat or something to wear, that will make you want to go back and just explore the world and finding everything else out, or finding all those little collectibles. There are trials and challenges, as well as costumes to unlock. I didn't really focus on those. That's not really my style of thing. But if you're looking to get rare trophies, they're definitely there, because I finished up with like 55% of the game's trophies following my single playthrough, and the remaining trophies, some of them will take skill, some of them will take timing. There is one trophy that is tied to playing the game on its hardest difficulty, and y'all know me, I don't. I'm a casual gamer. I'm not a hardcore gamer enough to want to do things on its hardest difficulty. General controls when in combat, everything flows freely. You don't. The parrying can take a little bit of timing. It's almost a really fine timing to parry, but otherwise, from a casual's point of view, once you have like the spirit bomb unlocked and you can fling it onto enemies, use the arrow to cause it to explode, and you get various upgrades that increase the utility of some of your gear. Upgrading, once you get the bomb, make sure you upgrade that to make sure it hits where it shatters and and it attaches to nearby enemies, because that just increases the damage effect on it, which is a very cool little gimmick, and it helps in terms of some things where you have to we have to defeat certain amount of enemies in a limited amount of time. So it's you definitely get that great appreciation uh, for the individual abilities like that, and you end up just seeing how they could be useful, for again lack of a better term here. You can totally tell I'm doing this off the top of my head. In terms of recommendation, I would recommend anybody play Kena Bridge of Spirits. I think it's on the It's on the PS5 as well and PC. General playthrough, how long it took me was about 12, 13 hours, give or take. So it wouldn't take you too long just to get through it. Again, from a casual point of view, on a harder difficulty, it'll probably take longer. I know at least one person that was also playing it at the same time I was, that they quit playing it because they didn't like the combat. But again, if that's the case, I believe you can reduce the difficulty there in the settings. But again, I always set things up for a casual playthrough anyway. But I would recommend it if you're looking. If you catch it cheap and on sale, it's definitely worth a pickup. I mean, if you're just looking for a little game to play or a break from something larger, it's definitely a game that you could enjoy. And if you are looking for something with a good story, good visuals, and good music, and just has a lot of charm, you can't go wrong with it. So anyway, on that note, tighten your friendship bracelets, stay safe. We'll see you over on my Twitch channel if everything is going right in my life. And of course, we'll try and see y'all in the next video. Bye.